Happy 6-9, everybody. We made it. We only get to do this one day per year, so I'm in a good mood. I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. If you want to just have a very nice, capitalized nice day, then like this video. And hey, I would have a nice day if you did like the video, because Bears now is third in the competition for the month among team channels for likes. We're losing to the Raiders report and the Cowboys report. We got second in comments last month. We're third in likes. Let's ramp it up a little bit. We need more likes on this channel on all of our videos in the month of June. So if you're fired up about 6-9, and if you want to have a nice day, and if you want me to have a nice day, all you got to do, like this video. You're watching Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Let's get into some winners and losers from Week 3 of Bears OTAs. Now that OTAs are in the books, they are done. 8 practices, all voluntary over the last 3 or 4 weeks, have come to an end, as the final practice was yesterday on Wednesday. 8 practices in total, like I mentioned, had the one scrapped for the quote-unquote live contact violation among the NFL CBA rules. And then, of course, now the focus will shift toward mandatory minicamp, which is next week from June 14th through 16th. We'll, of course, have you covered on all that, so be sure to subscribe. But as far as OTAs go, I would say we learned some things. Media access, only one practice per week for each of the 3 weeks of OTA. So we kind of, got to see some photos, some clips from about 3 of the practices. Matt Eberflus talked, during that practice of each week. So, I think we learned some things. How much did we learn? I think it's hard to say, right? They're not going to say a bunch of negative stuff at this time of year. I think we'll learn more next week, because the media will have full access to all 3 days of practice, and we will relay everything that we learn to all of you as we learn more and more. Then really training camp, that's when we'll learn the most, when we'll kind of start to see, position groups come together, players separate themselves in competitions. Should be a lot of fun, but the good news is there's some practices going on. We're getting to learn a little bit more about this team and what this new regime wants to do. So let's get into some Bears OTA winners. We'll do the winners first, and then we'll take a look at some losers. Remember, it's voluntary, so winners and losers, it's all on a scale. I wouldn't, put too much stock into May and June practices. Jaylon Johnson, who's been a loser the first couple of weeks of OTAs, he's back in the winner column because he was back with the first team defense this week. Matt Eberflus kind of talked about how, we were going on through the evaluations. This defense is hard to learn, but had a good practice on Wednesday, according to Eberflus. Broke on a ball, almost had a pick 6, wasn't able to quite squeeze it on an out route from Justin Fields to Jaylon Jones, but had that nice pass breakup, made some good plays. So that was good to hear. And like I said, when we first talked about Jaylon Johnson getting second team reps and stuff like that, I wasn't overly concerned, because what are you going to do? Start Kendall Vilder over him? No freaking chance. He's going to start for this football team, and I think he'll be this team's CB1. So he's back at it. He's in the winner column this week, so all is good in the world of Jaylon Johnson. What do you guys think? Will Jaylon Johnson be CB1, or could it be a Kyler Gordon? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think it'll be Johnson, at least to start the year, and then, over time, who knows? Maybe a guy like Gordon is able to unseat him. Get your votes in. Let me know what you guys think. How about Braxton Jones? I think this is a bigger talking point than the whole Jaylon Johnson situation. Braxton Jones, the 5th-round rookie out of Southern Utah, saw first-team reps at left tackle this Wednesday. Unsure if that was the case on Monday, considering that practice was closed to the media, but that was the case on Wednesday. Eberflus chalked this up, to mixing and matching lineups. But you look at the offensive line, and, it is curious, at least, right? And in this case, Jones played left tackle. Borom kicked out to right. Tevin Jenkins actually worked with the second team. We'll talk about him a little bit later on in the show. I do buy what Eberflus says when he says, yeah, we're trying different combinations. It's early on. We're trying to see who fits where best. But I'd say it's pretty notable that a 5th-round rookie got some first-team snaps at left tackle. He at least earned the opportunity to go through those reps. Now, I will add this. It is very difficult to evaluate offensive line play without pads on. It just is. I mean, you can look at certain technique things, footwork, but until the pads go on, you start blowing people off the ball. How much can you really evaluate? I mean, it's tough to say. So I don't know if this is holy crap. Braxton Jones, he could start, or holy crap, you don't have two starting caliber tackles. You need to start someone, or Jenkins, he's a bust. I don't think any of that is necessarily the case, but it is something to monitor moving forward, especially into minicamp next week. Keep an eye on the offensive line. I think this is the biggest storyline for this team before week one, outside of Justin Fields, obviously. I think the O-line is a huge area to watch. Predict the Bears starting offensive line from left tackle to right tackle. Who are going to be the 5 guys? And hey, if you want to get creative, you can mention a free agent or two that are still on the market. Quentin Spain could be a right guard option. Eric Fisher, Dwayne Brown could start at left tackle if you want to go that route. Predict the Bears starting O-line this year. Let's go to DeAndre Houston-Carson, the veteran safety who's, I think, the longest tenured Bear, along with Patrick Scales. I believe since 2015 they've been on this roster. And I said at the time when this new regime re-signed him to a one-year deal, I think that was significant because he is one of the older players, but they still opted to bring him back despite going young in a lot of areas. He had 2 interceptions on Wednesday. I believe both from Justin Fields, too. So that's significant. He was getting first-team work. Eddie Jackson was at Hallis Hall but didn't practice yesterday. They held him out. I'll say this. DHC is always around the football. We know he's a great special teams player, but when he plays, he makes plays. He knocks passes away. He'll get an interception here and there. Had that great pick of Derek Carr last year in that win over the Raiders in Vegas, probably the best win the Bears had a year ago. He makes plays on the football. I was glad when they brought him back. And, you know, it's another piece to have in what I think is going to be a pretty good secondary. He can play some nickel. He can play some free. I don't think he's really a strong safety, but say Eddie Jackson struggles, or you're sitting in dime packages, or, you know, you suffer an injury at nickel, which Davon Young, obviously you're not wishing it, but he has an injury history. And if a guy like Thomas Graham maybe not quite ready, DHC can plug in there. I expect him to get some snaps and play a little bit of a role in the secondary because he's proven that when he gets opportunities, he's able to make some plays. Now, help us reach 1,000 followers on Bears Now on the Rumble app as we have exclusive uncensored content over there. We're currently at 743 followers. Let's get that number up. Rumble.com/Bears Now, another area to support this show. Rumble.com/Bears Now. Okay, some other storylines, and then we'll get to some Bears OTA losers. Units going back and forth, offense and defense. Eberflus talked about on Wednesday. Offense was great on Monday. Justin Fields looked sharp. 11 chunk plays in the passing game, 1 chunk play in the running game, he said. And then Tuesday's practice, of course, got canceled. But then on Wednesday, Eberflus pointed out, and reporters who were there on scene, the defense certainly won the day. So guys going back and forth. I would say the defense has won more days than the offense, but the offense has had some good moments as well. Kyler Gordon, another thing to monitor here. We'll expand on this in a little bit. Did not practice on Wednesday. He was in the building. What could that mean? Well, we'll explore. We'll speculate here in a few minutes. Robert Quinn still absent, so keep an eye on that. Something to watch heading into minicamp. I think he'll be there, but we'll have to wait and see. And then Justin Fields, could he be the next Dak Prescott? Well, here's what Matt Eberflus had to say. Josh Grock, who's been out at OTAs, tweeted this out. Eberflus compared Justin Fields to Dak Prescott in the progressions Dak made early in his career. You can see the jump we're going to make here with Justin. Now, he didn't necessarily compare them as players, although I do think it's a decent comp for him. I think there are some similarities here, although Fields certainly more polished coming out of college as a passer, but Dak has certainly become a really good NFL quarterback, and if you ended up with a Dak Prescott-type player, I think you'd be pretty happy with that here. But I think it's significant that he's talking about the progress, the jumps that Dak was able to make early on, and he's seeing that with Fields. So I think that's a positive sign moving forward. Smash that subscribe button, and we will be sure to hit you with daily news and rumors here on Chicago Bears Now. Mandatory minicamp next week. We will have breakdown, full access for you guys all 3 days, so don't miss any of that. And then, of course, we'll have minicamp winners and losers at the end of the week as well. YouTube.com/Bears Now. Hit that subscribe button. We'll have you guys covered throughout the offseason. All right, we do have to cover some losers here. Tevin Jenkins. Again, you got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt, right? But this is based on the information we know from this week, and he worked with the second-team offense on Wednesday. Unclear if that was the case on Monday. Matt Eberflus did say they have used different combinations throughout OTAs, not just on the days where media access was permitted. But for Braxton Jones to get starting reps and for Borom to slide over to right tackle for Jones at left and not keep Jenkins at right tackle, that feels somewhat notable. Now, again, they're trying guys at different spots, and I get all that. But I'll continue to say this. After Justin Fields and watching his progression, the offensive line is the number one thing to watch, in my opinion. It would just be a guess for me at this point to see who the starting five are. I don't have a clue. That's why I had you guys predicted down in the comments. Be sure to do so. I don't know. If I had to guess, I would go Borom at left tackle, Whitehair at left guard, Lucas Patrick at center, no clue at right guard, and then a right tackle being Tevin Jenkins. But again, they're mixing and matching, and I still think signing a free agent is a possibility. All right, so Jenkins the first loser, Kyler Gordon the second loser, and again, this is more on a speculative note. Jesus. I don't know what I drank in my coffee that I didn't drink this morning because I don't drink coffee, but it's having me struggle with my words. But Gordon did not practice on Wednesday. Eberflus said he was in the building. What does that mean? That can mean a million things. Maybe it's an excuse practice off. Maybe he's nursing some sort of minor injury. I mean, was he working with trainers? Did he pull a hamstring? Who knows? We do know this, that during rookie minicamp, right after the NFL draft, he did deal with some cramps, some leg issue stuff. So is it related? I'm not sure. I'm not going to overly speculate. Those are just a couple of, deep theories, but I think it's something to monitor. I think if he misses a practice next week at mandatory minicamp, that means he could be nursing something. I think we would know if there was a major injury suffered. You can't really hide those from the media, from the public, but, maybe he tweaked an ankle, tweaked a hamstring. They're playing it safe. Hard to say for sure, but something I will keep an eye on. All right, final loser, the CBA rules, which the Players Association agreed to, so I'm not placing blame on the league itself, but the CBA rules of, if there's live contact, we're going to strip a practice away. Like, it's kind of hard to go 100 miles an hour, which is how you should practice, because if you half-ass it, that's how you get injured, and not occasionally have some contact, right? Now, look, maybe they studied some film and they went overboard and it was being preached by the coaches to, knock people down occasionally. Okay, that's a different deal if that's the case. But Matt Eberflus, this whole hits philosophy, he believes in physicality and building that culture. I'm not going to blame the Bears for going hard at practice. I have no issue with that whatsoever. If a receiver on a crossing route goes over the middle, catches a ball, and Roquan Smith is closing in, it's kind of hard to pull up and not touch the guy. Like, it's just, these guys are 250 pounds running, 4.5 40s. It's kind of hard to do that. So, I'm not going to look too much into it. That NFLPA rep who narked, it's all good. But again, I don't think it's a big deal. I think the rules, maybe soften them up a little bit. I don't know if we should be canceling practices because Cole Kmet tripped over somebody if something like that happened. All right, so OTAs in the books. Who's ready for minicamp? Like I said, we should learn even more next week. And, I kind of look at this as like a checklist, right? Free agency, check. Although it's still ongoing. Players could still be signed. NFL draft, check. Rookie minicamp, check. Now OTAs, check. Minicamp next week. Mandatory minicamp next week, I should say. That's coming up. And then about a month, 5 weeks off, and then, hey, it's here, man. Training camp, preseason, just around the corner. It's coming here fast. Bears football going to be here, and I'm fired up. And if you are too, type me in the comments. Appreciate you guys for watching. Subscribe, as always, if you haven't already. Let's continue to grow this channel as we get closer and closer to the 2022 NFL season. All right, guys, we'll have some videos coming up for you guys over the next couple of days, and we'll see you soon here on Bears Now.